Welcome back to The Different Knock. Before we get started, I just realised it's only 35 league games until we lift the title. So, to ensure nobody misses a single thing, I want to tell you about the OneFootball app. All jokes aside, I use this app every day and I think it's great. The OneFootball app gives you all the information you need to follow football. News from around the world, scores, fixtures, stats, live updates, and updates on the transfer market from pretty much every league you can think of. My favourite feature, which is useful as the transfer window comes to a close, is the aggregator of transfer news. So you don't have to go looking around the internet for rumours on Twitter or Reddit, you can find it all in this feed here. Go and watch Arsenal win the title live for free on the OneFootball app. The link's in the description. This video was not supposed to be about Brooke Norton-Cuffy. I was writing a script about something else, went to get a drink, opened Twitter, watched this video, came back and started a brand new document. Watch this.
And just finally, Brooke, have you got a message to our supporters?
Watch this season.
Like the people in the room laughing uncomfortably, it made me laugh too. But despite a wry smile from Brooke, I don't think he's joking. As I said in my previous video, watching the All or Nothing documentary, I found Mikel Arteta a little by the manual at times. His pre-game speeches sometimes felt a little forced, like he'd read a book that's told him to use props, visual aids, hand gestures and ensure to X, Y and Z. But those speeches aren't for me. They're to inspire a group of footballers under enormous pressure. And the group he's speaking to includes many whose first language isn't even English. Though I might find someone with "lions don't care about the opinions of sheep" as their phone screensaver a bit cringe, I don't have to go out and do my job in front of millions of people every week. These are not normal working conditions. Footballers, especially those who've grown up in academies, think differently. They have to. Someone saying what Brooke does about a promotion at an insurance firm would be derided. But as a footballer, I like it. So, who is Brooke Norton-Cuffy? Brooke Norton-Cuffy is an 18-year-old English defender, and having just returned from a loan spell at Lincoln City, has signed an extension to stay at Arsenal, penning his first professional terms just last year. Norton-Cuffy was Arsenal's Scholar of the Year last year, signing for Arsenal aged just 10, having asked to be released by Chelsea as they weren't playing him enough. They never ever learn. And recently won the Under-19 European Championships, playing alongside the likes of Carney Chukwuemeka and Alfie Devine. So, that's all fine, he sounds like he's on a good path. The real thing you want to know is he good enough for the first team? Before we look at his game more closely, let's look at what those around him say about that. Arsenal youth expert George Bird, who does excellent reporting on the academy, thinks Norton-Cuffy has one of the most realistic chances of making it into Arsenal's first team from the current crop. And Michael Appleton, Brooke's manager at Lincoln and now working with Charlie Patino at Blackpool, said, "I've been saying it behind the scenes, I think he will play for Arsenal's first team on a regular basis. It might not be for a couple of years, but it's definitely going to happen." Appleton has a reputation for spotting young talent, and having sent two of our brightest young prospects to work with him, he's clearly someone the club listen to and trust. But that's all talk. How does he look on the grass? When he was asked what his opinion of his strengths are, Brooke said,
I'll say I'm a fullback that likes to get up and down. I do like to do attacking, but I don't shy away from my defensive duties as well. I like a 1v1 battle and I like to create things and have the ball at my feet and try and get assists or goals for my team.
And having looked at him while playing for Lincoln and playing for Arsenal, I can say he's all that and more. To me, Norton-Cuffy has absolutely everything you want from a modern fullback. He compares his game to Reece James, and I'd say that's a pretty good starting place as a comparison to get your eyes adjusted. Let's first look at the defensive side of his game. This is not to reduce him down, and he certainly has other strengths, but I would say Brooke's biggest asset is his physical capacity. His build, his pace, his body type, and his capacity to repeat actions. That means defensively he can be aggressive and proactive in the duel when 1v1, where he is very good. Where some defenders may slide in, delay you or block off your lane, Brooke's physicality means more often than not he can step in and knock you off the ball. If he gets it right, 9 times out of 10 he'll stop the attacker, and psychologically it's hard to deal with someone that you know can simply bully you off it. Often the ball breaks to his teammate from a duel he wins, starting a transition. The way he puts his back into players and attacks the challenge and the space reminds me of Saka and Jesus respectively. Sometimes he can be a little clumsy with it, but that's only natural at 18, and his tackling technique seems fine. His physicality may not translate in first team football as well as it does in youth team football, but my suspicion is it would, and the signs at Lincoln look good. He said as a child his dad would make him do wall sits for bad behaviour, and physically it's paid off. He also has great recovery capacity, something Arteta likes because it means you can push the defensive line up and squeeze the opposition, knowing a ball in behind on the transition isn't as dangerous as it could be. It also means his marauding forward doesn't cost his team as much as it could, manoeuvring himself at speed to advantageous positions to block the attacker's path. He does well to clear his lines when he needs to, though I think at times he can be a little overzealous with that, and perhaps with time and confidence he can take the ball down a bit more and look to play to feet. And in terms of aerial duels, his physical capacity helps him there too. He's a good height, 5'11", but his use of his body means he's rarely beaten even by taller opponents, or those with a better leap or spring. Either he can win the header by getting under the player and putting them off, or wait for the ball to bounce and move to the right position, and it all stems from the use of his body. Watch Gabriel Jesus winning headers. It's not about his height, it's about his movement and body shape, arriving at the right time to attack the space and the ball, and using his body to block the lane. There's a great example of Norton-Cuffy doing it here against Accrington Stanley playing for Lincoln. Finally, on the defensive side of things, positionally he seems responsive and doesn't seem to get dragged by the man on the ball all too often, staying with his man well. He reads the game nicely, and though it's difficult to say what good positioning is because it's all relative to the phase of play, his decision making, from what I've seen, looks good for someone of his age. Again, his physical capacity helps him because he can recover quickly. He can be caught in the midfield on the transition, but that's the price you sometimes have to pay for attacking threat, and I'd like to see him stop the cross more, but I suppose it depends what the manager's instructions are. There's no major concerns defensively, there's a basic set of competencies and things can be coached. He's played as a centre-back on occasions, as well as a right-back, and apparently an inverted left-back too, which is why I referred to him as just a defender at the beginning. Who knows where he'll end up, and in the modern game it's much more about zones, as we've seen with Ben White. Going forward though, there's a few things you can't coach that he has in spades. That drive and hunger to compete, get forward and make something happen. His driving runs, often in field, are almost the trademark of his game, getting the crowd off their seat. He's comfortable inside and outside, both on and off the ball, and because of that he's perfect for a positional play team, as he can pop up in different areas, and he does with regularity. His off-the-ball movement is really good for such a young player, trying to make himself available and getting himself quickly to advantageous positions for his teammates to find him on either foot, all over the park. He's not necessarily strongest as a clockwork passer like Zinchenko. He doesn't have an armchair in the half space. He's a mover, a fizzer. And when he gets on the ball, his superpower is carrying the ball forward. His decision making in terms of releasing the ball is generally good, though raw for me at times. He has a good passing range and can receive and play on both feet, another tick for Arteta as a fullback. In an appearance on the Beautiful Game podcast, he confirms that he used to be a striker as a young player and made the transition to right back at under 16 level. And it shows. I'm not sure if he was joking or being slightly metaphorical, but he said he used to score 100 goals a season at under 10 to under 13 level and scored 15 goals against Aston Villa once. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised. His touch is a little loose when he receives it at times, and I'd like to see him open out his body and play forward a bit more, but the basics are there and he does them consistently well. Something the coaching staff at Arsenal, as seen when Albert Stuyvenberg speaks to Gabriel in All or Nothing, are keen to emphasise. He wins 1v1s going forward easily, beating players on the in or outside. While I wouldn't say he's the best crosser of the football, especially from deep, he can deliver well. He gets the odd assist, and he scored a couple of decent goals. A great sweeping finish here against Sheffield Wednesday in March. The main thing you feel when watching Brooke, for me, is excitement. Because of his superb physical capacity, his ability inside or outside and on both feet, he is the archetypal modern fullback. Watch how Pep used Kyle Walker for Man City on the opening day of the season against West Ham a couple of weeks ago, and you'll see how fullbacks are starting to be utilised in so many different ways than we ever imagined. Brooke is the sort of player who could be so useful in an Arteta team because he's so electric. He could add a whole different dynamic, play in a number of different positions, and be another Hale ender inspiring youngsters to show there is a clear pathway to the first team. Brooke said it's likely he'll go out on loan again, and he hopes it'll be to the Championship. His agent, Alan Redmond, head of football at Jay-Z founded agency Rock Nation, recently said, "We have Brooke Norton-Cuffy, who's just signed a new contract at Arsenal, and there are about 7 Championship clubs looking to take him on loan. He's a sought-after young man, and at just 18, the best is definitely yet to come." In his appearance on the Beautiful Game podcast, he comes across as an intense and intelligent person, fully focused on having a career in football. He mentions how he would never sit still as a child and would always want to go out to the field and play the game. All these years later, and nothing's really changed. Brooke is a mover and shaker in every sense of the word. The reason that video sticks with me is the same reason I just have this feeling that he'll make it. At the highest level, mentality separates players. TJ Ayoma, Lincoln City's number 22, said to podcast host Dej that Brooke is driven, works hard, and crucially listens. He said that when he didn't start at Lincoln, he worked hard to get the place at fullback, and once he did, he wouldn't let it go. TJ thinks Brooke's mindset sets him apart from other footballers. Brooke said that in the afternoons, when not in training, he got a gym membership for David Lloyd and spent almost every afternoon in there, running around Lincoln or doing physical work in his garden. There are plenty of people with talent, but the confidence at his age to say something like that, with the talent and the work ethic to back it up, means Brooke to me is a very exciting young prospect. Considering the players around and ahead of him, I don't think we'll see him in the first team this season, but you never know. We did see him in first team training recently. I, for one, am very excited about what this guy could possibly be for Arsenal. We don't really have a fullback who's a proper physical ball carrier other than Nuno Tavares, and he's not even at the club. With young players, things can just happen. They surprise you. I didn't even know I'd be researching him until a few days ago. If all that hasn't got you excited, then fine. But maybe this will. As a schoolboy, he went on trial to Tottenham, but rejected them and only wanted Arsenal. And recently we found out Bukayo Saka did the same. It's good omens. That's all I'm saying. Thank you so much for watching The Different Knock. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please consider supporting us on Patreon monthly or head to buymeacoffee.com for one-time support. You can find me at AMOnFootball on Twitter, and we're at DiffKnock on all social media. Also, check out our podcast. All the links are in the video description. Thanks!